Thank you for listening to the Following Films podcast, a weekly interview show where we dive deep into the creative minds behind today's most captivating films. In this episode, we're thrilled to be joined by director Gairo Cuevas and the talented stars of It's Just Pizza, Bella Cvengros and Wyatt Tithof. It's Just Pizza is the latest short film from Gairo, produced through Pixar's Cooperative film program, and it's making waves for its bold storytelling approach. Filmed in one continuous take, this short captures the raw tension of a troubled relationship with a simple yet powerful premise: the fallout from ordering the wrong pizza. But this film is about so much more than pizza. It's about dishonesty, communication, and the political undertones that shape our interactions. Today we'll chat with Gairo about his inspiration for the film, the challenges of filming in one take, and how It's Just Pizza is resonating with audiences. Bella and Wyatt also share their experiences in bringing Anna and Morgan to life. So stick around while we uncover the creative process behind this thought-provoking film that's already gaining critical acclaim. Hope you enjoy the show. Thanks.
Hello?
Hey, how are you today?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you both so much for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Of course.
No problem. Bella said she might be able to join. I don't know though. We'll see. She might pop in.
Well, we can just go ahead and kick things off, get started, and if she joins,
Okay.
That's great. If not, no big deal.
Awesome.
So,
Okay, cool.
I really enjoyed this film quite a bit. It was rare kind of movie that clearly has something more on its mind than a fight that's going on here, where there is the obvious political aspect to this, but I think it speaks to something much larger that we have as an issue in our culture right now there's almost a cancer of abject indifference, and that we can ignore obvious problems and are distracted by our phones and video games and all these other things that we can throw ourselves into. And could you just talk a little bit about the inspiration for the story and where this came from?
Sure. I've always wanted to write and direct a story about just a couple arguing. And I knew that I wanted to do it all in one take. And this was years ago. The idea came to me years ago, but the camera that I wanted, the camera just wasn't invented at the time. Because the way it's shot, it's like a documentary. So it's panning left and right. The focus has to kind of be spot on. And so we used a camera that has this awesome autofocus that really helped me where I didn't need to use a focus puller. So it was nice to just have the camera do what it needed to do. But in terms of what inspired the story was I would just listen to random people just having conversations when I'd go shopping, just super random, from a parent and a child to a couple just having an argument to a parent arguing with their kid, or two friends just having a lovely conversation. I'd always get little snippets of a conversation, a few words. And that's sort of where this idea kind of started to grow, was just these conversations that I'd hear in stores. In terms of the political aspect, the character of Morgan is sort of like me when I was younger. I really wasn't aware, or maybe I just didn't care to be aware of what was going on in the world. I was too busy and too focused on personal stuff.
Sure.
And it wasn't until I met my wife, she's way smarter than me, and kind of made me realize there's more to life than just video games and movies and songs, music. There's a world out there beyond my life, and in a way it can impact my life. And I need to be aware of that. Gun culture. My wife is a teacher, so I'm scared of her always going to work, because you never know when some kid's going to bring a gun, or these recent bomb threats that have been happening. There's also just I'm a father of two kids now. I think about childcare, stuff that I didn't think before. It's this really makes it. There is a lot going on in the world, and I need to know more about it. And there's stuff that Harris wants to do now for childcare that might not really help us anymore, but it'll help so many other people. And so I just think about all this stuff too, of there's certain things that might not help me anymore where we are in life, but it'll help so many other people. And so I wanted to kind of make a movie based on how I used to be, and a little bit of Anna is sort of my wife, of who she wanted me to be. And so there's sort of that personal aspect of it. But I really wanted there to be a contrast. I really wanted Anna to be this person who cares about others. And I wanted Morgan to be someone who's just very selfish and just doesn't care. I don't think that makes him a bad guy, but some people mature faster than others. And so that's sort of the story is a little bit about my past and a little bit about like where this country is and where it could go.
No, that makes perfect sense. And I like that you pointed out that, Wyatt's character is not the bad guy of the film. I think it would be very easy to shortchange that and say that, he's clearly the villain here, but he is really somebody that is just, he's immature at this point in his life. He hasn't fully developed yet. And so there are things that at, 18 years old, 19 years old, that while you are making decisions that'll impact the rest of your life, you're still not fully grown yet. And you still have some baking to do at that point in your life. And Wyatt, could you talk about, bringing a little bit of humanity and heart to somebody that could really easily be an unlikable character? But I don't dislike you in this film. I'm just waiting. I know you're going to grow up eventually. You're just not there yet.
Sure, yeah. So, I mean, I kind of talked about this with Jairo a little bit. He's he's kind of the quote unquote bad guy, not in the sense that he does anything
Right.
malicious or he has malintent, like bad intent. He's just ignorant. And I grew up with a lot of people kind of like that. They just didn't care about politics. They didn't care about what was going on in the world. And I just think it's hard now for like anybody to not be political. So I think it's really important for everybody to educate themselves on that stuff. So it was really interesting just to, I don't know, I was just kind of taking snippets from people I grew up with, people I knew who like could not care less about politics. And it was really fun to kind of tap into that ignorant mindset and kind of let everything like bounce off me. He's just really deflective, and he doesn't take responsibility for anything. So it's definitely, hopefully, different than who I am in real life. But it was fun. It was fun to
I
play
have a
that.
feeling that's probably the case.
Oh God, I hope so. I hope so.
But
Yeah.
I think that's something that Hara was touching on, this idea that you're really just self-centered at that age. And it's very common for people to be self-centered. And that's not really just indifference towards politics, but it's also indifference towards your girlfriend and not paying attention to the fact that it's your
Yeah.
anniversary
Yeah.
that day and that she
course.
has an allergy that, could really mess her up and those kinds of things. So it is that idea of just being outside of yourself. When I look back, because I'm 48 now, Jesus Christ. And when I look back to my relationships from that point in my life, and I was such an asshole, I was so
Yeah.
self-centered and I was so screwed up. And it took me so long to realize that, I had a pattern. And then eventually I figured out that, oh no, I was always the jerk in this thing. And I had to make changes and grow up and start looking outside of myself. And yeah, there's a bit of an uncomfortable mirror in this film when I look at your character here. I don't like looking back at my past, but yeah, it's certainly a part of who I was. And Bella, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about, you have a tough role here, because you have to have the moral shouldering of this film. And I think that it's really tough to play a role like that where you don't come across as if you're on a soapbox. And I don't think you do. I think you just come across as somebody that's hurt, that this person that you care about doesn't give as much as you're giving to them.
Yeah, I totally understand that. There was like a part of me that felt that I really didn't want to come across as like I'm the smart, just completely elite, at least with my moral standings, person in this relationship. Because that's just like that could have been a really easy pocket to fall into. But I think it's yeah, it was Wyatt being so flippant with everything that I was saying made it really easy for me to kind of just be like, okay, like you're just really hurting my feelings right now. And instead of being like, oh, I'm better than you, and I'm going to tell you why I'm better than you, which can be a little bit less interesting sometimes.
Absolutely. And I think we're all guilty of that from time to time, of being less interesting. And, that's why when I get on my soapbox, it's not something I want to put publicly. So Jairo, could you talk a little bit about the casting of this? Because really, you're doing this in one shot. And so if you don't get these performances right, this thing doesn't work. And so you have to go back and forth in this argument. And there's multiple arcs here. There's an up and down throughout this. It's constantly building, but it does kind of have a back and forth pull throughout this whole thing. And if you get the casting wrong on here, just the flat out wouldn't work.
Yeah, no, that's right. Well, I worked with Bella before. Bella's amazing, And so it was a no-brainer once it was all like the script was done. It was like, oh, like I think Bella's is great. Like there's nothing. Oh no, I could go on and on forever about Bella. And then I didn't know Wyatt at the time, but Bella's known Wyatt for a long time. So when she read the script, I think Bella, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think you were like, I think Wyatt could play this role. And so
yeah, that's kind of how it went. I think I literally like texted Wyatt and was like, "Hey, do you want to like do this thing?" And you were like, "Yeah, let's do it." And then I still have the video, but you came over to my house and we like sat outside of my house and read the script, and I recorded it, and then I sent it to you, Jairo, and then
yes,
and then it kind of went from there.
Do you
yeah,
release the video? That's crazy.
yeah, I just watched it the other day. Yeah, the video is great. So once I saw that video of you two together, it was like, oh yeah, this is perfect.
So,
and yeah,
I was just gonna say, Wyatt, how did that make you feel when Bella reached out to you? She said, "I read this part and thought of you right away." I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult.
I mean, at that time, I hadn't read the script yet, so I was like, "Oh, you thought of me in a role." I don't know. We've known each other for a while, and it was really until I started reading the sides, helping her with her tape, and I was like, "Oh, this guy's kind of." But it was a fun role. Like I like
Yeah.
playing.
Oh yeah.
Fun to play. I guess antagonists. I don't know if I'd call them an antagonist, but it's fun to play people who audiences don't necessarily like. So. I wasn't insulted. I was actually kind of flattered. Like, if you think I can kind of pull this off.
Oh yeah. I was just being flippant more than anything.
No, you pulled it off. And then we shot like 16 takes, I think, all in the span of like 3 hours or so. And it was great because the very first take, like we were like, okay, now we know what not to do in a way. And I think just because like the first few takes were pretty much rehearsal.
Mm-hmm.
Because that was my first day meeting Wyatt too. So it was interesting to like work with someone who I just met that day. And I think Wyatt also just gave a phenomenal performance. But it was great to just shoot a lot of takes because every take we just kept going, okay, now we can do this, now we can do that. Like I remember the very first take, Bella was just super angry from the get-go. So then I realized, oh, well, there's really no arc or no way to like rise. There's no like rising action. So then it was like, well, what if you're a little bit softer and your default setting is more of like you're just this your default setting is you're a lovely person, you're just not angry right away, and he's going to get you to that place. So that was nice to see. And then seeing Wyatt play off of that was good because he is flippant and he is like, I don't know, within those 5 minutes you kind of see like a charm that maybe this is what she fell for, but then like she's had enough at the same time, and we're starting to see that with her, I hope, as the 5 minutes progress. And then just I had no idea how I was going to really shoot it. Like I knew I wanted to do one take, but was it all going to be a wide, or was I going to do wide and go in? And then I really didn't know when I was going to pan left or right. It was like just a gut feeling as we shot more takes. And then the last take was the one we used because I think we all just felt like, oh, we found it, we nailed it, and that's good because that was right before like we were losing light. But that was really nice to shoot a lot of takes and just kind of go and change and morph. Like that Snickers joke that I think Bella and I came up with, like that was never in the script. Like that came later, like a few takes in. So it was just fun with like these little discoveries that you have as you're shooting, trying to figure out not necessarily how to make it better, but how to make it work within the story that you're trying to tell. Because a bad idea, like you could take a good idea, but it might not work within the context of what you're trying to do.
And it's kind of the advantage you get to doing this all in one take is something you normally only get in theater, where you get to redo the entire performance and then kind of say, okay, we did this last night, we're going to dial this in, do this differently, because you get to really view the whole piece every time you're performing it, which is really a luxury you don't get in film very often. And so to do this all in one continuous 5-minute shot is just I think it really does add to the tension of the piece, but also really gives it lends to the humanity of it in a way that's not distracting. It doesn't feel like something that's being done as a style exercise. It feels like it really does service the story that you're trying to tell here. And I was wondering if you could just talk a little bit about that as far as being able to pull this off and the one continuous shot and getting this together from a technical standpoint.
Well, Bella and Wyatt, you can talk about, I don't know if I stressed you out or made you nervous. But for me, it was just more of like, I think I spoke earlier about the certain camera that came out, like
right.
where I work, I shoot a lot of behind the scenes stuff. And so when the Sony FX9 camera came out, I was just like a light bulb turned on in my head. I was like, oh, this autofocus on this camera is amazing. I can't really afford to hire a crew And if I get someone to help me, like it's hard to retain someone who's going to work for free when they go get another job and get paid for it. Like I totally understand. So once this camera came out, I was like, I feel like I could do it. I feel like I could do it all on my own. I don't need a focus puller, and I don't need anyone else, just because I also don't want to waste someone's time. What if it doesn't go well? What if it doesn't go the way I wanted it to go?
Sure.
And also at the time, my first kid, my daughter, was like a year and a half, and I wanted to be super close to in case something happened at home.
Yeah.
So we shot this like 5 minutes from where I live. I'm always thinking about like the logistics. I want to make sure I'm close to home in case my wife needs me for anything. And so I also didn't have time to edit some things. That's why I didn't do a traditional shoot wide shots, shoot close up, shoot medium shots. I don't have time to like then put that together in the edit. So we're going to essentially, Wyatt and Bella become the editors because they're the ones who are in charge of the emotion and just creating that tension and the rising tension. So it's all on them. It's all on the performances. I just have to make sure I'm capturing it in a way that hopefully feels intense and a little suspenseful. But I just had a lot of fun shooting this over and over. It's probably why we shot so many takes. I'm sure there were like take 12 would have been just as great, or take 10. But it was also just fun to see what else can we do? What else can we get out of you? And what else can I do? And when should I be landing on you? And what line makes the most sense? I know that I'm going to have to be on Bella for this line, which means I'm going to have to let go of being Wyatt on this. Like I can't capture him saying it, but I can hear him. So it's a lot of like letting go too, and letting them just kind of guide the story.
And Bella, I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about what Jairo was just talking about that idea of kind of being present and guiding that story throughout, because it is something that you can't just stop in mid-sentence and say, oh, I want to just change that one inflection on that one beat, and just to have that whole weight of that, again, it's that theater thing of carrying that weight of the whole performance for that night.
Yeah. So I come from a theater background where it's essentially like all one shot. And so that is something that's not super intimidating to me. It's more actually it's a little bit more freeing in a sense, because it's kind of like you like plan out this whole like journey that you're going to take, and then when the camera goes, you just kind of like let it go and see what happens, and just like you try not to care very much about the outcome, because it's just going to be what it's going to be. And I mean, I really enjoy the experience, because I mean, normally when you're shooting a scene, it's like, okay, like you're going to do this one line.
Yeah.
We're gonna take that again. Okay, now we're doing the over. Okay, now we're doing the French over. Okay, now we're like doing the wide shot. And then it's like you just have to like keep revving yourself up for this one moment over and over and over and over again. And in a way, it's kind of like stunting.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh my God, like let me just finish the scene. Like, please. Like this is just, especially because it's just not where I come from. So yeah, I mean, I really enjoyed that style of filming, because it was just, it was fun, and towards the end, I think Wyatt can agree, but it was sort of, from what I remember, it was just sort of like, okay, like we know how these go, we know how it goes, like let's just kind of just let it be free and let it be what it is, and that's super, super easy to do with a one shot. So it was a good experience for me.
Yeah, it seems like, in my estimation, as a former terrible actor, that it would be an easier way. I can get my head around that as far as acting for film and television. And then you have those moments of the context of shooting all the same side and shooting from one direction, no matter what the line is. You don't build in that moment. And so you can have these things that are these sort of disparate actions from one another, but you have to keep in mind that technical aspect of just, where am I in the arc of this story in this moment, in this one line? And it's just too much for me. I was never good at it. And so I was never good even on stage, but I at least could get my head around that a little bit. That part of it, what you guys do, is like alchemy to me. I do not understand it. But was it a similar experience for you, Wyatt?
Absolutely. Having the narrative flow in real time allows, I mean, kind of like what Bella says, like this said, like if you're doing a scene and then you have to cut and you have to go take a 5-minute break, let them fix the lighting, let them do all, just like the flow of any emotion that you have or anything, it's so hard to try and rev it back up to the same level. So allowing everything to kind of unfold within a 5-minute scene, just straight up, I was a little intimidated in the beginning, but I think it aided our performances so well. I think it would have been completely different performance from me at least, and film if we would have like done multiple, cuts and all that stuff. So I love the one take thing. And also each take I found out something different about Morgan, I think. So think if you like if he were to show you like some other takes we did, they would have been completely different. I would have been completely different. I think Bella would have been completely different because we were reading off each other. Um, so yeah, Hyro would like give me, he'd be like, all right, this time try it and be a little bit like more assertive or a little bit like everything's a little bit more of a joke to you. I can't remember exactly what you told me on the final take. I think you just said go for it. But yeah, it was nice, like doing the same scene over and over, straight up, but with different direction. It was super fun.
Was the last line of the film improv, or was that something that was a part of it? The little PS in the credits about you wouldn't break up over it.
That was in the script, but for most of the lines were scripted, but he let us have some leeway with like, tossing a few ums or whatever to kind of make it. And then like some moments were improvised. I think like Bella, when you and I were like laughing when I did like the like face to you and you like laughed. That was like we just like kind of came up with that in the middle of it.
Well, there's like a line, Bella, where like you said, like you don't even know me, but like you went like like
Yeah.
it's like that wasn't in the script. I didn't like write like so stuff like that. I really just love like things
Yeah.
that might in the moment might feel like an accident. You're like, oh, they're forgetting their line. Like it's like, oh no, like it just makes it more human because that's how we talk. Like I'm never like 100% scripted when it comes to talking to my friends. There's a lot of ums and wait, what was I saying? So when I can have some of those moments in that movie, like it's great. You don't want them all the time, but like just a little bit of like some sort of pattern and something that's so random too. Hopefully, it kind of makes you go, oh yeah, that's how everybody talks.
Yeah, there's as somebody who edits a podcast, I lean on verbal crutches, ums, ahs, likes, and all those things far more than I would like to hear. So yeah, I'm fully aware. See, there you go. Now I'm listening for it, and they're everywhere when I speak. So it is those getting nailed down to the comma. Sometimes you can lose performances in that, and sometimes there's scripts that are written in a way that you have to get to every beat exactly right, and it's very precise in that sense. But I don't know that this would be that type of film that would work for, because it does feel like something that you're going for more of a naturalistic tone than something that's that really precise in the performance. There's more leeway here, from my estimation at least. Hyro, how has the reception to the film been so far?
I remember I sent it to a bunch of coworkers. So I work at Pixar.
Yeah, I was going to say, I wasn't sure if you wanted to.
So I emailed it to a bunch of people. I think like 50 people replied, and they all had wonderful things to say that reminded them of like hearing an argument in a parking lot at like In and Out. Or it was just really suspenseful, and sometimes it was hard to watch. Other people told me, someone gave me a note, but it's like I can't. Something I can do about that, like it's because people who work at Pixar, like they're amazing at what they do, and of course someone's going to give you a note when you work there. It's just going to happen. I think the note was like, "Oh, I would have liked to see more wider shots," and like, okay. My reason for not having a lot of wide shots, so it's like I loved Bella and Wyatt. We put a mic on them, but I wasn't confident in the laws because like, what if it fell? What if it was wrestling too much? So above them is a boom mic that's also connected to the cube. So like, essentially, they were kind of tethered to a spot. Like you see them walking up to the mark. And then essentially, like they kind of had to stay there the whole time, just in case something happened with the lav, the boom could pick up on the sound. So that was my argument. It's like, well, I couldn't really have them walk around too much because I wanted to make sure I still got a good audio. Ultimately, I ended up using the lav. It worked out fine. It's like, oh well, what are you gonna do? But for the most part, the reception's been great. People liked it. They love the one take. They love how short it is, and again, it just felt really, really real. Which is always the goal, to just make it feel like, hey, here's a documentary of these two people that I just happened to capture arguing for 5 minutes.
So I'll give my note to that note if you would have had more wide shots. I think you would have looked maybe perhaps like more like a traditional film, but you would have lost something in here that does feel very honest, and it feels like you did capture a moment, and it does feel like you're just kind of eavesdropping on these people. And I think that's the real power of this piece. And sometimes it's those things like the limitations of, you have your lapel mics that you have hooked up, and that's what you're kind of thinking, this might not work, so we have to have the boom, so we're keeping you here. But because you have that tight constricted space that's also in this open area, it still makes it feel very small and compact and very personal. So I think it ends up helping in the end.
Oh,
so
good. Glad to hear that.
yeah. Well, congratulations on the film, guys. I really did enjoy this. I think you got something special here. Where should I send people to find out more about this, to follow it, to follow your work in the future, and to check out the film?
Oh, I have a website, hyrocuevas.com.
Okay.
That's my website. So it's up there, and a bunch of other shorts and music videos that I've directed over the years is all there.
Awesome.
Bella,
yeah.
White, do you have anything? Do you have a website? I don't even know if you have your own stuff online somewhere.
I don't, but hey, I do. But if you want to find that stuff, it's probably easiest to go to my Instagram, which is just my name, Bella, Bella, Cvengros, which is hard, but it's Cvengros.
I'll put a link in the show notes for people.
Yeah,
so
good luck. Good luck with that one. Yeah.
Wyatt,
no website is had at the moment. It's work in progress. Things are percolating, but I'd say Instagram as well. It's pink and then Tithof, which is my last name.
Perfect. Well, thank you all very much. Congrats on the film. Really did enjoy it. And thank you for taking time out of your Thursday to do this. I really appreciate it.
Oh, well, thank you for watching the movie. That's awesome, Chris. And I listened to your interview with the cast of the 4:30 movie.
Oh, yeah.
Smith movie. Great job. Yeah, I'm excited to see that movie. But you asked some great questions. I learned a
thanks,
lot.
Man.
This was a great interview. This is a great podcast. Thank you so much for having us on.
No, I appreciate it. This is the reason I do it. This is for films like yours, for things that I just want to be able to share. And if I can signal boost anything at all, I'm a greedy American consumer. I want more of certain films and filmmakers, and I want more from you. So if I can do anything to help that happen, that's what I'm trying to do. It's all in self-interest. So
well, I appreciate it. And I want more from Bella and Wyatt. They're amazing actors.
Absolutely, I agree.
Get hired. There should be another project. They're awesome. And everyone listen to this podcast. It's amazing.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. Hope you enjoy your weekend. Take care.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
We used the bridges that we wired and blown. That time's over now. So over now. I can't say I'm sad to see it go. That's over now. So over now. So what you doing in a couple of years? On a Saturday, round Halloween, I'll take your hand and I'll spit up fake blood. Should have known. So now here we go. It looks like the winter's never gonna be cold. It looks like the winter's never gonna be cold. I don't remember the cold time so well. We got so drunk that night, I watched you stomp the life out your phone. I felt special then. It was bad taste or dead alive. And I know you know I meant what I said. It looks like the winter's never gonna be cold. It looks like the winter's never gonna be cold. I don't remember the cold time so well. And most people never get what you've always been, always been, always been. And most people never get